Hi and welcome to Tenerife for the Over 50s, the first of a number of recordings about different places for the over 50s. I'm going to talk a little bit about Tenerife, the island, the climate, places to visit, eating and drinking, walking, hiking and other sports available, a little bit about getting around the island, and also something about the economy. So, hope you enjoy the video. Tenerife for the over 50s. We flew in from the UK on a wet, cold January day and enjoyed a lovely week of sunshine. Winter sun, can't beat it. The coast of Tenerife, lovely and sunny, but inland a lot quieter. We stayed in a little village, halfway up a mountain, very steep climb up by car, a little village called Cheoffa, which overlooks the coastline. So you've got the busy resorts of Cristianos and Playa Las Americas down below, where there's plenty of life and action if that's what you want. But if you want a little quiet and some nice walks and pleasant restaurants, Cheoffa might be the place. Santa Cruz, the capital of the island, is on the north side. A little bit more cloudy and cooler up there than the south. It's about an hour's drive up the motorway from Cheoffa. Very interesting city, multicultural, with plenty going, lots of arts and so on. One of the most interesting things in the city is the market, which has an African feel to it. The architecture is very North African, and of course Tenerife is quite close to Morocco, relatively speaking, and it's on a level with the Sahara. In the market you've got a tremendous range of foods being sold. Very colourful place, very lively. If you look carefully enough, you can find some really interesting places to eat and drink, typical Spanish bars. Cheoffa in the south of the island is quite a nice place to stay. It's pretty quiet, it's on a hillside, quite a steep climb in the car to get up to it, but excellent roads and very well developed village. It's mainly expats. A lot of people have moved out to Cheoffa and live there permanently from European countries, but there's quite a few locals as well, so it's an interesting mix. Again, very multicultural with various European countries represented there. Quite a few places for rent as well, but the majority of it is inhabited by people who live there all year round. It's a lovely area, very sunny in the south of the island. South of the island tends to get more sunshine. It's to do with the mountain in the middle of the island called Tede, which is the third highest volcano in the world, and because of that it gives shelter to the south of the island. So the south of the island has loads and loads of sun all year round really, and certainly when we were there in January it was into the 20s and very, very pleasant, very, very warm for that time of year. So I would recommend the south if you want some sun. You can see from the pictures here how the construction industry has dipped dramatically in Spain. A lot of these areas around the village and in many of the villages and towns in Tenerife now look like they've been cleared for some sort of further construction. There was a massive construction boom in the early to mid 2000s, but of course the financial crash then choked that off, and so the Spanish economy's been in pretty dire straits for the last 7 or 8 years, and the construction industry's taken a massive hit. So there are very few construction sites around now, but it's all sort of ready for development. So you can imagine that once the economy takes off again, there's going to be quite a significant amount of further construction. Although, of course, what it has meant is that there's a glut of housing now, so lots of properties available. So it's quite a good time to buy in that sense, in that the market seems to be pretty cheap, and also, of course, there are lots of places to rent as well. So if you did want to buy, probably now is a good time. If you're coming to Tenerife for a relatively short time, it's probably worth hiring a car. because it's a fairly easy island to get round. The roads are very good. It's not particularly busy, you found. Um, Public transport seems to be quite good. It's well used and relatively cheap and frequent. But to get to the more remote areas, a car's quite useful. Very cheap as well to hire, from as little as £7 or £8 a day. So good value. Here you can see them growing the vegetables in the local village in Cheoffa. A tremendous range of vegetables being grown. It very much relies on irrigation systems because there's so little rain here. Down in the village centre you've got a big restaurant, mainly Spanish food, and then you've got a British pub as well. So if you want the football on TV and you want a game of pool, game of darts, that's the place for you to go as a British expat or visitor. Also a small shop in the village, which is really nice for fresh bread in the mornings, croissants and so on, sell English newspapers, and a reasonable choice of goods. Further along the coast, to the north of Cheoffa, once you get beyond Cristianos and Playas las Americas, which are the really busy touristy parts of the island, you get into some really lovely scenery on the west coast. Go as far as an area called Los Gigantes, and you get some beautiful cliffs rising out of the sea. Very developed area, lots of people on holiday there, and also living there, expats living there, but a much quieter feel to the place. And it doesn't have that sort of tackiness that Playas las Americas has, with its bars and its nightclubs and so on. Not much of that here. A bit more upmarket, I suppose, but a beautiful setting with the cliffs rising out of the sea. Great place for diving, good diving centre, marvellous views, as you can see here, looking out onto the cliffs and down to the coastline. Tenerife is a great place to be active. It's great for the outdoors. Obviously the weather helps, but you've got fantastic hiking available in the mountains. Obviously you've got the sailing and the water sports available down at the coastline, and that's brilliant. And the wind gives you a nice sea breeze, so the sailing's excellent, and the windsurfing and so on. So that's great. And if you like the outdoors, as an active over 50, it is fantastic. The hiking trails on the whole seem to be pretty well marked. There's footpaths. You can get maps to find your way around. And again, obviously the weather helps because it's usually pretty clear. Although the higher you go into the mountains, of course, the more chance you have of getting mist and low cloud. So you have to be a little bit careful there when you're particularly high up. Obviously anything above 10,000 feet and you may struggle as well for oxygen, but it's marvellous scenery and great place to go walking. Here's a sunset one evening, looking down from Cheoffa towards the coastline as the sun sets, and we end another peaceful day. Eating and drinking in Tenerife is a really pleasurable experience, made particularly good as well by the fact that it doesn't put a dent in your wallet. It's very reasonable. Usually you can get a good meal for two, including drinks, for 25 to 30 euros. So that's excellent value. And there are some more expensive restaurants. This one, for example, which has international cuisine, quite high quality. Although we didn't eat here, looks very nice, and again makes it affordable because it has the lunchtime menus. So that does make it even more affordable. But certainly you don't have to eat at these more expensive restaurants. There are plenty of really good value for money restaurants, where, as I say, you can eat well for 10 to 15 euros a head. The advice is to eat fish down at the coast, where it's caught fresh daily, and to eat meat at the inland restaurants. Here's a typical Spanish menu featuring Canarian potatoes. So there we have it, a quick visit to Tenerife. Hope you enjoyed the video, and hope you go and enjoy the delights of Tenerife, and let me know what you think about it. And we finish with our fondest memories of our favourite Spanish wine and tapas bar in the village of Chayofa.